Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at how to complete the mission, reproduction claims mission in our simulator, along with how we're going to be collecting evidence in our simulator and in that mission to help us answer our big focus question: how do individuals in a population get their traits? Now, as we dive into explaining this question, we're going to need to learn some new features of our simulator. They're going to help us collect some data that's going to, again, help us answer this big question. So we're going to be looking at a few new features that will then allow us to dive into the Amplify page and fill out these data tables about australopes with non-adaptive traits, australopes with adaptive traits, and then allow us to answer a simulator review question. So we're going to look at all of this today. We're going to look at how to start the mission. We're going to look at all these new features, and we're going to look at where we're going to be putting our data in the data table. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First and foremost, when you access our simulator, you're going to click on the missions button here at the top. You're going to find the reproduction claim mode. And when you do find that, you're going to hit yes to load it in. And we got it started. You can zoom in, obviously, to see all the different organisms that are here. You aren't going to be changing anything within the environment itself. But this is where we're going to begin the simulator to answer that big question: how do individuals in a population get their traits? Now, to answer this, again, we're collecting evidence, and let's look at some features that are going to help us collect evidence to answer this question. Number one, you're going to be following different australopes today, some with adaptive traits, some with non-adaptive traits. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to follow an australope. So whenever we click on an australope, you'll see a few things happen. That blue circle comes around, or that blue, I think that's a nonagon, comes around the australope. And this allows you, as you run the simulator, to follow that australope wherever it may go. Now, notice I just clicked the pause button up here to pause the simulation at any point. Second, as we're looking at our australopes, you'll notice that it has this individual trait value, okay? It'll tell you a few different statuses about the australope itself. Number one, it'll tell you whether or not it has found a mate or not. So, for example, this one has found a mate, so it's probably not going to be looking for one anytime soon. And then it'll tell you the color. The color is 5, so that's somewhere in the green spectrum, okay? And as we run the simulator, okay, we can also slow it down. Oh, look, it's reproducing now and such. Now it's eating and it's about to flee, so on and so forth. Getting eaten. Okay, notice, okay, we can see the status of the australope as we go, and it'll tell you again not only its status, but its different traits. So let's go ahead and identify whether or not reproduction occurs by following another australope. Let's see if we can find one here. So let's look at this one. Okay, we're going to follow this one here. And you can identify whether or not an australope is going to be reproducing by this little bounce that it does. Okay, if you see that, or if you see it find a mate like this and create an offspring, okay, you'll notice a few things. It had that hop, okay, and it was able to reproduce, and you'll notice it in the status there. So you'll see the hop, you'll see it wrap its neck around another australope, and you'll see reproduction and an offspring pop up. All these things will happen really fast. So one thing we need to know is obviously you'll need to pause the simulator as we go. You can even slow it down if you want and run it at a much slower pace to allow you time, okay, to obviously observe the different australopes in their environment and what's happening, okay? Notice there was the bounce, there was the hug, and of course, now we have the baby available. So, again, these are the new features that we're going to be utilizing here in the simulator. We're going to be looking at following an australope using that blue nonagon that's around it. We'll be looking at identifying different individual traits and values when we click on them. We'll be looking to identify that reproduction by those different indicators, along with slowing and pausing the simulator when and if we need to. So, that's how we're going to be completing the simulator and using our different features in a way that's going to allow us to collect some data in our Amplify page. So let's take a look at that. All right. So in the Amplify page itself, you'll obviously click on the simulator and you'll run the reproduction claim. And when you're doing that, you're going to need to follow ocelotts with non-adaptive traits and with adaptive traits. Okay. Now, when you follow them, you're going to click on one, obviously, that has a non-adaptive trait for the simulator. So that would be an ocelote that does not blend in with the environment. Okay, so you have to pick one that doesn't blend in. You'll follow it until it reproduces. You'll pause the sim, and then you're going to observe and record the color trait levels of both parents of the offspring. So you'll have two offsprings. If the color is blue, you'll put blue. If the color is green for the second parent, you'll put green. If they're both blue and blue, you'll put blue and blue, whatever. And last but not least, you'll put the color trait level here of the baby. So maybe it's blue 5. I'm sorry, maybe it's blue 1, maybe it's green 5, and maybe it's yellow 8, whatever, okay? So notice I'm putting the color and the number for that ocelote. You're then going to observe another ocelote, okay, with a non-adaptive trait. That's going to be your very first parent, okay? And you're going to follow that one. Again, notice you're going to put the parent color trait level there. So maybe for this one, you put blue 2. You'll need to pause and observe those traits. Maybe the second one was blue 1. Okay. And then you'll tell me about the baby. Maybe the baby was yellow 9, whatever. So notice again, okay, we'll do that for non-adaptive. After you do non-adaptive ocelotes, you're then going to follow ocelotes with adaptive traits. Okay. So you'll find some that have colors that blend into the environment, and you'll follow one until it reproduces. Once it reproduces, same thing. What was the color of the parent you followed? What's the color of the parent that it found? And what's the color of the baby? You'll find a new ocelote, repeat, same thing. Okay. So maybe it's yellow 7, blue 2, green 6, whatever. You'll continue to do your data, and then you'll answer the question. When you're done, you'll hit the save and continue button, and you've just completed the data collection for the simulator. So folks, at this point, you're going to need to go into the survey and record your understanding of, number 1, how to use the new features in the simulator, and number 2, how to record your data in the Amplify page. If you have any uncertainty about either of those, put your X in the yellow or red and then reach out to me. If you feel like you understand what to do, obviously put your X in the green and continue on to the next part. Good luck.